Oh, it's on. Hey everybody, it's Karen from Waterfall Acrylics. How are you? Trying to look at the dot. I feel better when I look at myself. Back and forth. Uh, Today I'm going to do another sandwich pour technique, but a pour and not a flip and drag or a flip cup. I'm going to pour the paint after I sandwich it in the cup. I'm inspired by my orange and red painting I showed you in the last video. And I have nothing to show you because I just filmed late last night and it's the next morning. Got my tea, I got my chocolate, feeling hopeful, feeling inspired by my color choices. And yeah, I haven't anything to show you, so let's paint. Get you down. I haven't fiddled with this yet, so I might have to dork around with it. I have a 16 by 20 canvas. And let me play with the arms. How's that? No, I don't like that angle. I don't think that's a good angle for you guys. So maybe something like that right there. Right, tighten that up. How's that? And then just, yeah, that's the whole kit and caboodle right in there, as close as I can get too. All right. My camera looks incredibly crooked. Maybe go up a little higher. Should I go up higher? Always want it to be perfect, right? Gosh, I need a studio so bad. I really do. And this is the best place in my house for me to do this because my basement is just, it has, even if I had put up spotlights, the lighting is just horrible and I don't have a garage, so you make do, right? All right, so colors today. I wanted to talk about my colors a little bit because I dorked around with one of them. So let's start off. I have this red here, and this is my Series 9. So you know this was expensive, and I believe I got it 60% off because I know this tube alone is something like 21 bucks. So I hardly ever use it, but I broke it out today. It is CP Cadmium Red Dark Series 9 by Golden. And even though it was a nice, bright, happy red, and I can't really see it in there and I don't want to squirt any out. It is a true red, and it was a little too bright and happy for me. So I added, I think I had about an ounce of paint, and I added about a tablespoon of my Amsterdam Payne's Gray to it. And I like to call it like pepper red. Like it's not a blue red, but it's definitely 2 shades darker. And it just reminds me of a good, I don't know, a nice dark red without being maroonish. There's my consistency. I'm a little worried that this one's a little thick. I feel like that's a little thick. I'm gonna add a couple drops of water. It's just the tiniest splash of water to that. And give that a mix before I add my silicone. And see what my consistency's like now. It's been sitting around for an hour. So there we go, that's better. So that way the trace in the cup, the paint, that mound, it melts a little quicker than it did a minute ago. So I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully you can see that. Come up close. So there's the red. We also have some Liquitex Basics. This is Burnt Sienna. That's this guy here. I'm just gonna line them up on my canvas. I have some Basics Turquoise Blue. That guy there. I have some Artist Loft. No, this isn't Artist Loft. This is Amsterdam's, is this Philosophic or Prussian? This is Prussian Blue, a little bit left over. It's gonna kill it off. And then, yeah, that was the Amsterdam. It's empty. And then I have some Artist Loft, the Aqua Green. This guy here, still bubbly. Oh, it's because I just mixed it a minute ago. And then if I need it, I have a little bit of that denim dark Deco Art satin enamel that I might throw in there for giggles, because I don't think it'll do anything. It's not enough to do anything, but just in case I need some more blue. And then obviously my Artist Loft Flow Acrylic in white. I have a big old container of white here and another cup. This is going to go down on the canvas. And then I'm going to layer in a big old solo cup and see what happens. I want lots of negative space, doing a negative space kick. And yeah, let me add my, you can't even read it anymore. This is so gross. I shouldn't even show you. I'm using Spot On treadmill silicone. It's a mess. I don't know. I could clean it off. I mean, that would peel off really easy because, you know, it's all oily. It's kind of like a badge, like how your torch gets covered in paint. So 2 drops in the dark blue, 3 in the turquoise, 3 in the burnt sienna, 3 in the aqua green, and 4 in my red. That's the fullest cup. Give those a stir. The other painting from last night is downstairs drying. And I'm gonna take my cup of white and I'm just gonna start a sandwich. Let me see how this is. I'm kind of worried that this is too thin. See, there's absolutely no trace. This is a leftover cup from last night. That's too thin. That's definitely too thin. I'm going to add a dollop of white to that. And, oh, I promised you guys a story. And I think some of you are more interested in the stories than the art. I hope not. It's all about the art. The stories are just a little side thing. Because I keep telling you guys, I'm actually an introvert and I talk when I'm nervous. And so just talking on camera and pretending you're here, it just makes filming easier for me. Sometimes. Other times I would rather just paint in silence. But anyway, I back in the mid-90s, like eons ago, I was married, previously married, very short term, ended very amicably, just, you know, best friends who should not have been married. But while we were, I lived in Belgium in this little village called Swanee. It was about 50 miles south of Brussels. I lived there for 4 years. And my husband had some guy friends that wanted to come over and use our house as a base to sightsee, because we had a train station nearby and it was easy to hop on a train. And, like, you know, Amsterdam was 3 hours north, Cologne was 2.5 hours east, Paris was 3 hours south. You get the idea. Because Belgium is about the size of the state of Maryland. It's tiny. I think I want more white than that. Anyway, so his friends and friends of friends come to our house, and I knew one of them. His name was Mike, because he was my friend as well. So Mike comes and he's like, I'm bringing these other 2 guys from work with me. And the other guy was named Mike and the other guy was named Joe. That's my husband. And so I'm in this house and we had spare bedrooms, but basically it was 4 guys and me. And Joe and Mike, the second Mike, were complete strangers. And this is important because they show up at our house. It's their first time in Europe, so they know nothing. and I'm giving them the tour of our house. And my God, my husband's gonna hate me for telling this story, I swear. I'm giving them the tour, and I show them where the bedrooms are, and we get to the bathroom, and I go in the bathroom, and it was a fairly large bathroom by European standards. And I'm explaining that there's the shower and the tub, and you know, there's 2 faucets. It's not like America where you get hot and cold out of one faucet. And I point to the bidet, and hopefully you all know what a bidet is. If not, look it up. And I say, that's a bidet. It is not a toilet. If you need the toilet, it's actually right down the hall in a separate little room. And it's weird because you had to go back and forth to wash your hands. And they were like, what? Like, yeah. So Joe, my husband, says, what's a bidet? And I say, well, you know, in the 17th and 18th centuries, ladies used a bidet to like freshen up, and I do that. And he's like, oh, can you drop trowel and give me a demonstration? And I was just like, now I like sarcasm very much. And I was like, okay, you're an ass. And there was this big, and he said it like I'm a total stranger to him, you know? 4 guys and a woman, and he says that to a woman thinking he's all funny. And there was this really awkward silence, and we just kind of, I think my husband said, let's just move on. And I kind of wrote him off, like, okay, that guy's, he's a jerk. Or I think I called him something worse. He's a jerk. I like this color combination so much, I'm gonna do a 2nd cup. I've just decided. Or I'm gonna use what's left, and yep, I'm gonna do 2 cups. So I don't know how much negative space I have because I'm gonna do 2. Anyway, they went off for a week and went sightseeing, etc. And then the 2nd week, we rented a van and all went on vacation together and toured around Germany. And after, you know, that whole week, I got to talk to somebody. So I talked to him a little bit, my current husband, you know, and made small talk. But I kind of had written him off, like, all right, whatever. But we spent the week in Germany together. So I always referred to him in my mind, like if his name ever came up with my friend Mike, I called him Germany Joe. Fast forward 5 years, and I am on a business trip, and I am in London. And I emailed my friend Mike, the first Mike, and he's like, I'm gonna be in London too for like just 3 days, like as a stopover on my way to Spain. On vacation, I'm going to Spain with a buddy. He's like, we should meet up in London for a couple days and, you know, sightsee together. I'm like, cool. Who's your friend? And he's like, you know him. That's Germany Joe. I'm like, who? He's like, you know, Joe. I'm like, the bidet guy? Oh my God. So, yep, the bidet guy. I'm like, fine, whatever. You know, a couple days. I'm sure it'll be fine. So they show up in London and we go to museums and we're hanging out and we're having a really good time. And this guy is flirting with me like all the time. Flirt, flirt, flirt. And one night, I think after the 2nd or 3rd day, we were at a Spanish restaurant having tapas and pitchers of sangria that we're trying to get a buzz on, to be honest. And the sangria was really, really weak. But our friend Mike got up to go to the men's room, and I turned to Joe and I said, look, I appreciate all the flattery, but you're not getting lucky tonight. I hate to tell you. And he stopped me. Hold on, I gotta demonstrate. Let me do this layer. Pause in the story. He was like, no. Where am I? I'll just do this for a second. He's like, no, you don't understand. When I heard that you were gonna be in London, and he reached across the table and he's holding my hands. He's like, I knew I had to come and see you. Like, I've been thinking about you for the last 5 years, and I knew I had to come. You're the whole reason I'm here. And I'm all like, he's like, I'm not here for, you know, a quickie. I'm here like to be with you. And I'm like, and then Mike walks back in and I don't answer him. And I'm like, oh my God. And nothing ever happened. We exchanged phone numbers. I came back to the States. How's that again? I shouldn't have done that, right? I came back home. He came back home. He called me like a couple months later, and we started having these mega phone conversations. I mean, like mega, like hours and hours and hours on the phone for 4 months. 4 months. Until one day he said, you know, we should really just go out to dinner. And I'm like, what? Like, see you in person? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, okay. And the funny thing was, he lived like 8 miles away. Like, he lived right down the road. And our first date lasted, I don't know, 9 hours. And it was just talking, talk, until like, it started at 6 p.m. and ended at 3 a.m. Talk. And to go full circle, we didn't get married for like 4 years. I made him wait. I was nervous too, because, you know, I made the mistake the first time marrying a friend. That when we got engaged, he actually flew me back to London and proposed to me across Parliament, Big Ben, which was super sweet and romantic. So that's how I met my husband, via the bidet. So can't always count on first impressions, I guess. So been together 25 years. We'll be celebrating 23 years and be celebrating our 19th wedding anniversary. 19th year. Okay, I'm all ready. It seemed like a lame story. Oh well. So I'm gonna pour. And I'll do 2 sides, right? All right, let's just pour here. Let's see. There's one. And then do the same thing over here. Pour the sandwich. Where's the color? There it is. Something like that. Well, maybe I will have negative space. Just let that all settle. A second, throw on some gloves. It was funny when Mike came back to the table after like Joe laid this big bombshell on me, that like he could tell that the mood had changed at the table. It was pretty funny. And he was like, you know, trying to talk about touristy stuff. And Joe and I are just like staring at each other. And Joe's like all sheepish and I'm like in shock. It was hilarious. All right, I'm gonna just wiggle this around to get to my blank spaces before I torch. And stop talking and pay attention to the art. Because it's supposed to be about the art. So let me come down here a little bit. You don't have to go off and come back. And take it off the end. And then come up my way and stretch it out. I like my lines. touch right there. And I have enough paint on here to be able to play. So if I don't really like this composition, I'll be able to mess with it a little bit. All right, it's canvas covered. Ooh, I love how abstract that looks. I really, really do. Where's my red? It's buried under the blue. I was kind of stingy with it too. I still have a half a cup of it. Wipe off my hands. All right. Oh, I missed a corner. I'll torch first and then get that corner. Damn caterpillars. Still no red. All that talk about the red. I'm gonna move this around a bit so we'll see what happens. Pop the bubbles in the white. All right, liking the cells though. I love the fade. It's one of my favorite things about sandwich pours. So let me stare at a second. Let's see. Obviously I need to stretch out some cells, so what do I want to lose? I think I want to bring this down all the way here. Some of this can come off, that's fine. And then I'd like this up here very much, it just needs stretched out. So let's see what we can do. Yeah, some of this definitely needs to come down and off to stretch out and hopefully stretch out the caterpillars. So take some of that off. Some of you can go off the side right there and then bring it back. I'm gonna have to take some off the top a little bit, just because it's so crowded. So it's gonna get crowded up there for a second, and then I'll bring it back after I just take a little off, like that. It'll just open everything up. This is totally not what I was expecting, and I want to take off a little bit too much of the burnt sienna over there. Pour a little of that off. There we go. Let me look at it. Do I want to take off some off the top again? So I love my big cells at the bottom. Let me stop and stare. There's my deep red though. And it's all in here too. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's there. Oh my gosh, it's like some sort of, this bottom part here, it's like a big frozen lake. It is cool. And I'm loving the composition too. I love how this looks like a path. And I love how this merges into two different colors. I am still missing paint in this one corner completely. Leave that white. I think I'm gonna take just the smallest amount off the top again in hopes of just opening this up a little bit. This part is great. I'm like really happy with it. So if it gets too stretched out, I'll stop and leave it. Yeah, super thrilled. So far, so good. Let me go just a little bit more off because I have the paint. All right, the paint's slowing down a little bit, but I'm gonna push the issue just a little bit. There we go, off, and then bring it back just to open up that blue part. And then bring it back, not have wonky lines. Was my path. Yeah, see, like all, oops, make sure I don't splooge in the paint. All in here, this got all opened up, and it helped over here a little bit too. Just so you, the separation of colors. This is just spectacular. Really, really happy. And I think the faded part here, when that dries, this will dry a little dark. It's gonna make it, give it a little bit of a 3D effect, like it's a pond or something. Done. Ta-da! That's a keeper. I'm done. I almost feel like doing another painting. I have enough paint. But I promised my daughter a bike ride, even though it's stinking hot out. So I think we're gonna just ride up to the ice cream shop and get an ice cream cone and have some mommy-daughter time. Let me get you down before I say goodbye. Loosen all my little thingies. So there's the top part there where I opened up the blue cells. Pretty cool, right? Loving that. And there's like that fade of the blue is awesome. I got the big cells I wanted there in the middle. There's this top corner here where I stretched it out a bit. And then the other end with the bigger cells. And come up high. Like, how does it look? Like that. There she be. Yay, I'm really, really quite tickled with this guy. Even more so than the painting last night. Totally on the negative space kick. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to my lame story. Have a great day. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow or later today. I have leftover paint. I'll try to sneak something in. Take care, guys. Bye.